Recently, we had the privilege of a visit by Giles Duley. In 2019, he returned to the nearly totally destroyed city of Mosul in Iraq to create a series of trauma photography of the ruins. Giles acknowledges taking inspiration from Lee Miller's photos of the wartime destruction of Cologne.
You know, Mosul really impacted me in a way that no other conflict had. I guess it was after 15 years of covering conflicts when I went to Mosul. So I thought I'd seen it all. You know, I'd seen Afghanistan, South Sudan, Iraq, but I'd not seen this kind of destruction of a big urban centre. And I was based in a hospital run by the Italian charity called Emergency, and every day, actually every hour, they would just bring in so many casualties with injuries that I'd not really seen. I kept thinking, well, how should I document it now? What should I do about Mosul now? And the thing I would normally do would go back and take photographs of people recovering from injuries. I work a lot with people living with disabilities from conflict. I work with charities working on that. So normally that would be my approach, is that human story. But because Mosul affected me in a different way, I wanted to approach it slightly differently as well. And obviously, as a huge fan of Lee's work, I was very conscious of the stuff that she had done at the end of the war in Germany and the pictures of destruction. So I searched this book down to kind of study it even more. And I found there's something very powerful of these images of buildings and cities destroyed. And it's so the antithesis of what I normally do. You know, normally I'm always focused on people. I try and cut through all the big scenes of things and just focus on individuals. And so the idea of actually photographing a city with no people in it kind of was like, well, that's not what I do. But there was something about this kind of monolithic buildings, these huge structures destroyed by man's stupidity. They are like a monument to man's stupidity. And there was also this correlation for me between what was happening in Mosul at the time and what had happened in Germany, which was this kind of all-out destruction, it was all-out war.
So when you look at these, obviously this is a European city with a big river running through the middle of it. You see, look, this is a general view here, wide shot. And the complete destruction here is so similar to the images that you've shown me of Mosul.
And interesting, because Mosul is exactly the same. It's a river city, and the bridges had all been destroyed right at the beginning. And this is just like the old town in Mosul.
Whenever we look at these, there is this very chilling absence of people in all the shots. We don't see civilians, we don't see anybody. There's not even animals in there, there's nothing.
Well, that was definitely one of the things that I wanted to sort of replicate, was not having people in the pictures. Because I could go through my photographs and find almost identical images. And I think by having people in it, then you start to limit it to a particular time and a particular place. And for me, it was just this idea of, we are still destroying cities. 75 years later, we still think this is an intelligent way to settle an argument.
Yes.
That, to me, is what's shocking.
We just haven't moved on from that very primitive part of it.
No, I mean, you look at something like this, and you think, how could we ever do this again? I was watching and documenting something identical, but you never really see it as that. You know, it's the wars in the Middle East, the wars in Afghanistan are seen as something very different to what happened in Europe, but it's not.